Hi, I'm Dr. Bruce Rippee. Welcome to the Strategic Advisor Board. What I want to do is help you bake health and wellness into the fabric of your culture. Today, I was asked by a couple of people, "Hey, look, I've never gotten COVID. I've never tested positive. Why is it some of us don't ever get COVID or appear to ever get COVID?" All right, so the first thing you have to understand about viruses is that you've got 10 to the 31, that's 31 zeros, forms of viruses in the air. You're inhaling, you're breathing, all of that every day. In your soil, it's about 10 to the 30, and they're slightly different viruses. But what these viruses have to do is they have to very quickly get into a cell and replicate. Once they get into a cell, they have to replicate themselves because they're kind of safe in there for a little while, break that cell open, and then go off and do other things. Here's what's interesting. You have what's called a major histocompatibility complex in every cell. It's actually on the inside of your cell. So with that major or MHC, and you've got an MHC1 and an MHC2, but it's actually found on chromosome 6. If you look at the long arm or short arm, this case it's the short arm of chromosome 6, you realize chromosome, that means it came from mom and dad. Yes, it's actually part of your genetic coding. So it's the luck of the draw of mom and dad, whether or not you have a very powerful histocompatibility complex, or if you have a relatively weak one. It really is just dependent upon your parents. So, and there's a bunch of things you can do for you, and I talked about that in the last video. So here's what happens. You also have a gene expression, and that is known as human leukocyte antigen. And what it does is it tells your killer cells, CD8 T cells, hey, there's a problem. This virus entered this cell and we're in trouble. So think of it as you've got all of these little creatures on the inside of your cell waiting around. A virus shows up and infects the cell. These guys go to the outside of the cell and start raising an alarm, a bunch of flags. Here comes along a CD8 T cell, and it wants to basically kill that cell, and it will. It'll disrupt the cell and make it cytotoxic. So it winds up killing the virus as well. If you have a very good complex, if you were born with one, if you have an excellent HLA, which is the human leukocyte antigen in this thing, and it expresses itself very quickly, CD8 T cells will show up and destroy the virus before you know you're infected. You quite simply won't start to get symptoms because it's killing it off. Now, there's also an MHC2, and that's a different protein. There's a DRDP and DQ. That's a different type of genetic expression. But the one you want is to trigger CD8. That's your T cells. So if you really want to do this well and you want to have the absolute best you can possibly have of this particular MHC, remember that's a histocompatibility complex. If you want the best one of those, one of the greatest things you can do is have a high plant source diet. We have found that certain types of meats, heavy meats and heavy protein diet actually suppresses how your body works with the MHC1, CD8 killer cells, which are the ones you want to kill off all these bad viruses and so forth. So if you want to know, going into, here's the flu season coming, if you were born with an 8 on a scale from 1 to 10, and you're eating a high meat, high sugar, high wheat diet, you're probably at a 4. That's just how it goes. You're not allowing it to operate at its full capacity. Lots of water, lots of sleep, and a high plant diet, that's fruits and vegetables, raw as you can get them. You'll actually elevate that particular part of your diet, and it will express these CD8 T killer cells a whole lot better than it will if you're just eating a high protein, high sugar, fast food kind of diet, okay? So that's really how it works. You were born with it, but you can elevate to maximum optimum efficiency the one that you were born with. I want to tell you, I really love these direct messages and these questions from you, but that really is why some of us don't get the flu. We don't get colds and we don't get COVID either. So there you go. I will see you on the next one of these. In the meantime, be an example of what's possible.